In this video, we will be going over a very important ICT concept known as Power of 3. We will be going over what it is and how we can use it. I will also be sharing backtesting results of using this concept to show how well it really works. So let's get started with what it is. Power of 3 really has three main components to it. The first one being accumulation, the second one being manipulation, and the final one being distribution. And the fourth one I have here is trend, and essentially all that's there for is to tell us which way is price moving in terms of the higher time frames, essentially which way is price trending. Now let's go over accumulation. Accumulation is when we have this sort of price action here, sideways movement, and we are building up liquidity to the downside and to the upside. That's very important for accumulation. This move from here to here is called the manipulation move, because we're going to take that liquidity that is built up on top of this area here, and then the next thing that we're going to be looking for is price coming into a POI, and so that's what is marked out by this zone here. And notice how it is in trend with this leg here. So since we know the trend is down and we should be looking for shorts because the trend is down, and we've just manipulated and taken the liquidity above this accumulation area, we know that the only liquidity left over is to the downside, and it's below this accumulation area over here. So essentially that's where distribution comes in. That's when price comes into this area and then pushes away, and that's where we take our entry. So when it comes to how we can use it, that's essentially what it is. So Power of 3 is a very nice setup that we can use and we can get into trades with. So when it comes to taking the actual trade, we have two options for us. So the first one is taking it literally like that, where your stops are here and you're targeting at least this low here, or the low of the accumulation, and whatever else is below. But the other way we can take it is when we come into this POI, we need to look for something like this. So essentially an entry drill where we break structure and pull to the downside. Now in terms of entering off of order blocks or imbalances, that's up to you. Backtest it and see what works well. I find that entering off of order blocks works really well anyway, so that's what I tend to stick to with this. But this is a very common pattern that we'll see in the markets all the time in terms of prices trending to the downside. We get some sort of accumulation, we then get the manipulation, tap into a POI, and then we can distribute and take price lower. Sometimes we will get the scenario where we have multiple POIs, and based on that scenario, all you're really going to do is you are just going to essentially pick where you want to take a trade from. Sometimes you'll have this where price takes this POI out but respects this one, or what you want to do is you want to do something like this where you just put on multiple orders and see which one works and which one doesn't. And obviously we can see in this case that the first one doesn't and the second one does. Another good thing you can do is set it like this, so you put your stop loss so it covers both POIs and both entry locations. For this, the risk to reward doesn't really matter too much, but we can expect on average a 1 to 3 to 1 to 5. So again, a very good pattern that you can see in the markets. Okay, so now that we've gone over the concept in good amount of detail, let's go over some live examples. Example number 1. So here we can see price is actually at a high point in the market, and when you're at a high point in the market, you generally want price to move to the downside. And so when we come to the charts for this trading day, we can see price is actually moving to the downside really nicely, and that's that trend aspect of the pattern over here. So the next thing we need to look for is an accumulation, and essentially an accumulation is just sideways movement. Really easily I can see that we have some sideways movement over here, and I'll just mark it out with this box. And at this point here, what I'll be looking for is there a POI right above? And as we can see, we have one really nice one over here. So let me just mark that out as well. From here to here, there's your order block, and let's just change that to a POI, and there we go. So that is what we're going to be looking to enter from. And now all we really need to do at this point here is wait for price to come into this area. So if we just move up slowly, we can see we get tapped in, so that's where we would have our order right there. Stops just above. Whether you go for stops above here or up above here, that's up to you, but because this is such a clear order block, we can go over here. That's about 4.9, and then again targeting the low here. And as you'll see in this example, price delivers really nicely. And if we be conservative with our stop loss, which probably is something I would have done for this trade, that's 9.7, 10.2, you can see you get nice 3.7 risk to reward ratio. And again, really nice trade and very simple. Here we can see trend is down accumulation phase, manipulation, taking that liquidity above this rangy consolidation area, and then we get that nice distribution to the downside. Notice that because this is on the 5-minute time frame and we can see this pattern on multiple time frames, that we don't get an opportunity to enter using an entry drill, but because it's such a low time frame and it's such an easy pattern, we can enter with this entry technique as there's only one POI anyway. So very nice trade, and it works out really nice. So now let's have a look at another example, but in this case, rather than selling, we will be buying. This video is sponsored by Vantage Markets. If you are looking for a trusted broker, then look no further than Vantage Markets. I have been using them since 2018 and have enjoyed using them as my personal broker. They are a multi-regulated broker, and so they are reliable, and I have never had a problem when it comes to withdrawing or anything like that. They also have accounts with low spreads and commissions to make trading all the more worthwhile. So if you are interested, then make sure to click the link in my description to go check them out. Okay, so this example is on GBP USD and on the 5-minute time frame as well. So in this example, we can see price is trending down overnight, but overall we are trending up. And so this is what we're looking for very, very importantly in terms of what the trend is. So once we know what the trend is, and as we can see it's up, we are looking for buys, and then all we need to look for is a period of accumulation. Now in this example, because this is an overnight move, as we can see from here, so this is like end of London or New York session, we come over here, then we just get this flat sideways movement. This is really good because we've got all of this liquidity being built up, and as we can see, because we are moving down, essentially there's not much liquidity being built up until this point here. So as you can see, we get this movement up here, down again, up again, down again, and we got this liquidity here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight this whole area, and the reason I'm going to highlight this whole area is because we know that right at the top over here, or essentially more like a trend line over here, there's a lot of liquidity being built up. So again, looking down, what can we see? We can see we actually have a OB here that's been tapped into, we have had some sort of move away from, and below that we don't really have anything else to the downside. Maybe something over here as well. So that's one opportunity to get in at. Let's turn that into a POI, and we got some liquidity here, and then we have this one over here. And the reason why I'm focusing on this area is because this is the area that price ranged at before pushing higher, and then we can see that this wick slightly grabs liquidity over here before pushing up, and so this is an area I will be focusing on as well. So if I just highlight from that candle here to down here, that is the other area. So now all we're waiting for is price to come in. So let's set our trade and put one over here. So what's that? 11.2, 11.7, and then we can target the top just there somewhere, so about 3.27, and we can do the same for the next one, or you can do something like this. But as you can see, it just ruins the risk reward, and obviously that's not a risk reward we want to be taking a trade from. So we just go here and then maybe have a trade here. Let's just do that. There we go. Let's target the same high there, and let's see what happens. So if I just skip forward, we can see we get tapped into this trade, and then we react from this one, it looks like, and then we fly and hit our first target. Now remember, I did say we can aim for a 1 to 5, and I'm pretty sure that price just continues up from here. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, it looks like we get about 4.38, but overall, generally for these trades, you'll get a 1 to 3 or 1 to 5, and that's the beauty of this trading pattern. So now that we've gone over 2 examples, let's go and have a look at the backtesting results that I have for this pattern only during the month of February. So as you can see, these are the trading results of Power of 3 for the month of February. We can see we have a 30.77% win rate. We made 11% for the month with a total of 13 trades, 4 wins and 9 losses. And here are the other statistics that Trader Edge provides you: an edge score of 80, which is pretty good, and a profit factor of 2.22. So you can compare this to taking an FTMO challenge and how that would fare out. And as we can see, that we generally get like a winning trade, a couple of losses, a winning trade, a couple of losses, and a winning trade, and we only get 3 consecutive losses and 2 consecutive wins. And so overall, it's a pretty good trade. And as you can see, I did only go for 1 to 5s As you can see, from every loss was 1% and every win was 5%. And if you're wondering what platform I'm using, I'm actually using Trader Edge. If you're interested in using them, go check the link in my description. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.